Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be on the Tonite Show.
This is the 49365 podcast.
And faithful, stand up, baby.
Hey, you already know what it is, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tonite Show. You already know it's Frontline Sports Media. My name is BMetchy. As always, I'm with JB.
What's poppin', B? What's poppin', faithful? The Tonite Show. Shout out to Young Gully, man.
Yeah, shout out to Gully. Wanted to, for those of y'all who from the Bay, who from the town, you may know what that drop is from. We wanted to keep a theme, and pay homage to the big homie Gully. So shout out to Gully. But this is the Tonite Show, man. 49365, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Cali time. Maybe you're gonna be tuning in this next day, on Wednesday, on your way to work or wherever you're doing. But we appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Shout out to all the faithful, man. I wanted to actually do something different with our shows, if you don't mind. We didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I do something for work. There's this program that we basically implement that I essentially run for the company. It's called EOS, and essentially it's like a way to have effective meetings and all these different things that you put in place to increase profits and be a more effective company, right? And so one of the things that they have in their meetings at the set of every single meeting is before you start, you got to say the personal best from last week and your professional best from last week. You don't got to do a professional best if you don't want to. You don't got to do a personal best if you don't want to. But I want to start things off, and I want to have you follow up and just tap in with the people and let them know what your personal best thing from last week was. Just because there's a lot of folks out there, it's a lot of people tapped in the comment section, tuning in to Frontline Sports Media who may not be as familiar with us, BMetchy and JB 49365. They may not be the OGs. Some of them, I see y'all. Some of y'all are the OGs, but some of y'all may not be familiar with this. So, just doing something to let the people tap in a little bit more to who exactly we are. You know what I'm talking about? So I'll start things off. Excuse me. My personal best, man. I finally bought a TV I've been waiting to buy for a long time. Now, I think I told you about this at some point. It's been a few years, actually, that I've been wanting to get this TV. It's called the Samsung Frame TV. If y'all don't know what that is, it's basically like you put it on in a room, and as soon as somebody walks in, the sensors will trigger where the screen will automatically show some artwork. It'll just display some artwork, right? But if you want to turn it on to TV mode, you turn on TV mode. So it's a little novelty thing, very expensive. Was waiting for the price to go down. Didn't really go down, but sometimes you got to just take that trigger, and we all have those things that we want to purchase that we know they're overpriced, but we want them that much. So you got to just go for it sometimes, every now and then, even if it's overpriced, even if it's kind of a ripoff, but you specifically want it, you got to just do it. So I feel like after I finally made that trigger and purchased it, I feel good, man. I feel good. I feel great, man. I love the TV, and we haven't even fully set it up, and I love it. So that's my personal best from last week, man. JB, what's your personal best from last week?
Man, hey, is the Wi-Fi is your do mine sound like it's tripping?
Mine sounds good. Are you hearing connection issues with me?
Yeah, yours been breaking, like it's been like kind of freezing and stuff. So I just wanted, before we got too deep into it.
Yeah. I think I'm good on my end, but y'all let us know in the comment section. They could let us know who's off, if it's me or if it's you. It's crazy. I actually just fixed up my Wi-Fi, so if there's issues, that would be a surprise to me. So, but yeah, just keep me posted in the comment section, faithful. JB, keep me posted. But yeah, what's your personal best from last week?
Okay, cool. Sound good here. All right. My personal best, man. Let's see. Like the little cats, one of the cats they got out the house last week, and they just they like, we usually keep them in the bathroom, and they ended up getting out, and we so they got out the house. So when we woke up in the morning, I think it was like on Tuesday, they weren't in the house, and so we got one older cat. I mean, one cat who's been with us for a while. So instantly we go outside in the morning. He come back inside. He knows. But then the new cat we got is outside, and he's he's like scared of us. So we basically he wasn't gonna come back inside, and we got this tracker, and he was like under the house, and basically it was like the kids had to go to school, so we had to take the kids to school. Um, and then we come back home still trying to find them, and we really not trying to lose the cat because we got PTSD because our last cat died
Yeah.
by getting hit by a car, so that was pretty traumatic. So it's like, all right, we really trying to get the cat. So
Man, yeah.
so basically it's been like it was like probably 3-4 hours. We was trying to get the cat. I'm all under the house and 3-4 hours, and then I finally figure out a way to get him and figure it out kind of a way to get him, and I got him. So I kind of felt good, like, all right, I got him. Got
Yeah,
him back
made
to
that
the
happen.
house. So that was definitely one of the personal highlights of the
Yeah,
week.
man. They always say, man, you got to celebrate all wins. You know what I'm saying? You got to celebrate all wins, man. So that's what it's all about. Everybody who's tapping in with us in the comment section, let me know what y'all personal best was from last week, or let me know how you feeling right now, like we did last time, like Croc does in the morning shows, man. Put them fire emojis in. 5 if you're feeling real good, if you're feeling real confident about yourself this week and where you're at and things in life. Maybe you put a little bit less flame emojis if some things a little bit off, but it's all good because we rocking with each other and we vibing tonight. We got a lot to get to in this show, talking about the Atlanta Falcons, a little bit of a look ahead to that game, really kind of like an underrated, really big game for us. I feel like in a lot of ways we're going to get to that. But before we even kick off with Atlanta Falcons and talking about football and whatnot and our team, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the Monday Night Football game last night. Two divisional opponents in our division, the Rams and the Cardinals. Did you check that out? What were your thoughts? Any anything that stood out to you from that game that you wanted to talk about as we get into it here on this episode?
I mean, nothing really stuck out. Like, I guess right when you asked the question, the first thing that popped into my mind was basically like anybody could be anybody. There is no, just because the Cardinals are 9-3 and the Rams are, were, I don't want to say trending downwards, but at the end of the day, we seen like anybody could be anybody. That's how I feel like with this whole NFC West, from the Seahawks, obviously, we look to the Cardinals. Anybody could be anybody any given Sunday. So that's pretty much, I don't know, my main takeaways. And Odell Beckham, I don't know, he seemed like he getting his rhythm with the offense. So that's what I got. What about you?
I kind of felt like I didn't watch the full game because again I was getting that TV. So I didn't watch the full game, but I will say that like from what I saw, I just wasn't like Arizona Cardinals. They're one of those teams. It's kind of similar to us in 2019 where we were winning all these games, but we didn't have the quote unquote respect. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they have Kyler Murray. That's a big difference. Like people, obviously they consider him an MVP candidate for the injury, all those sort of things. So they are getting respected in that way. And they got DeAndre Hopkins. They do have like big name players, right? But at the same time, like I don't know if it's because it's Arizona and it's just a smaller kind of like market team, like not a big. They're just not the trending topic on every sports talk show every day, every week kind of thing, right? So I feel like they weren't really getting the respect that they you could say that they deserve based on their record and how they've been playing this year. But, they come into this game and it's like, I just didn't feel, and again, it could have been closer than it was. Like at the end, they had a chance to come back there and tie it up. But I do feel like, I don't know, they didn't look, to your point, they just looked like they could easily be beat. And like with all the situation going around with the Rams and all the players that were on the COVID protocol that were out in the game, it just kind of was one of those things where to me, it felt like the game meant more to the Rams. It was just more important for them to win that game. Like it just, it's that cliche thing, but it just felt like they wanted it more. And I just like, watching the game, I don't know. I'm not impressed by the Cardinals. My takeaway is, and we can get to this later in the show, but I do feel like we've lost to them twice with Jimmy Garoppolo, with Trey Lance. But I feel like if it does end up being a matchup with us and them in the playoffs, I'm not like I just feel like they're very beatable, especially with the way that I feel like we defended them in the first game. Obviously, the second game was just an absolute shit show, right? But like if you just take that out, and I just feel like that was more of us dropping the ball. And you got to give them their credit, because in that situation, it almost felt like they really wanted that game, like similar to how the Rams came out in this game. So I don't know. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'm not afraid of the Arizona Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was like one of my biggest takeaways from watching that game. Kyler Murray, though, he is a slippery, slick dude out there, man. He's just getting around tackles, but man, his body language is terrible. I don't know.
He always like whenever bad plays happen, like he react that way. Like it's just like that's just who I feel like when that adversity hit him, like what he always be like shrugging his shoulders. And that's why I like Lamar Jackson, because when Lamar Jackson, when
he
stuff be
responds.
happening to him, like Lamar Jackson be feeling like it feels like it's never getting to him that much, no matter no matter if he throw a pick, get sacked, lose a game, whatever it is, But also, thinking about Kyler Murray too, man, like just thinking about how elusive he is and the plays he be making. And I just feel like, this week, I think Jimmy G is, in better favor with me particularly. I ain't gonna say the rest of the fan base, but I think so in the rest of the fan base. But for me particularly, like I feel like, I don't know, I just feel better about Jimmy G. And I'm just like, man, with 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and you got the ball, you got recovered an onside kick, and Kyler Murray just goes backwards. I'm like, with Jimmy
Well, they
G,
had some penalties too. They had some penalties.
they did have some penalties,
Yeah,
but he was also doing that, like, he just be so quick to run and try to go backwards.
Hail Mary,
Go backwards, and it's just like with Jimmy G, is he throwing a 5-yard out to Kittle right there? Are we? I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying that, obviously Kyler Murray, potential MVP candidate, I guess, but I don't know, man. Jimmy G, I think are we not appreciating number 10 the way he needs to be appreciated?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like limitations, right? It's like with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, guys like that, right? If they were more athletic, right? If they had athletic ability, would they be as great as they are? Because it's like sometimes, like when you have to just hone in on your craft, it's that whole Mac Jones thing. Like we talked about this a little bit in the draft process with somebody where you don't have that, game-breaking athleticism. You have to maximize every single time you're in the pocket playing against these guys who are way more athletic than you. You got to find ways to get the ball out. You got to, be excellent at that. You got to do that at a high level just to survive. Just to, when you're even at Alabama and there's all these other quarterbacks who have all these accolades ahead of you, or, in the case of Tom Brady, you're, battling for a starting spot at Michigan and you fight, and then you go to the NFL and you fight you're a backup and you fight to be a starter. Like, is part of that what makes them great? You know what I'm saying? Like those limitations. And, Jimmy G, small school guy, obviously athletically limited. And so, maybe that is a benefit in certain scenarios of just how you play the game at that quarterback spot, man. Cause it's just that quarterback spot is different. But hey, we got a guy who hopefully has a little bit of both the athleticism and the talent to, it's just so funny to me that, Jimmy G went to Eastern Illinois, won the award, I believe, for the best college football player at a D2 school. Trey Lance, North Dakota State, basically similar things, similar path, gets to the NFL. And it's just so interesting to me because it's like Jimmy G, the only other quarterback to come out of his school is like Tony Romo, like a guy who was like a baller came out of his school. Like, and then with, Trey Lance, it's Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting. Like, to me, I always think about that, how that even happened. Like, it's crazy. It's a small world. I guess also at Jimmy G's school, Eastern Illinois, it was it Sean Payton went there? I'm not 100% sure. But before we fully get to talking about upcoming this week, this game and everything like that, I actually wanted to recap, man, this Atlanta week. I already said at the last game, I try to do something to, fit the vibe of the city, the team that we playing against. So, Atlanta, home of the Waffle House joints. I think I might have to make some waffles on Sunday. Definitely get that on deck and ready to vibe out for this Atlanta game. Before we get into breaking down this game, man, top 3 memories of the Atlanta Falcons 49ers. Some of the battles that we've had, some of recent memories, some in the past. I wanted to actually play a few of the highlight videos that I could think of to just get us ready for this game, man, to get us ready for Atlanta week. And it's funny because I don't know if we were together for when any of these videos specifically happened, but they're probably going to be like your top picks as well. And I don't even know if the audio is going to be on, but it's all good because if it's not, I'm just going to commentate. Let me pull this up. I was playing the if you remember when we was in Atlanta with Trap Art, when I randomly came across that Stunt Fest event. I was playing that video earlier, just trying to get my bearings around remembering that trip when we went down to Atlanta and or it popped up for that Stunt Fest event. But
I wasn't there.
I know you weren't there, but obviously we had that Trap Art Atlanta out there, which was like obviously it was raining crazy and that specific trip that it was. But this one right here, man, the Bowman play. I mean, the last game with the stick, pick at the stick, right? Classic, iconic moment. I'm gonna just play the play, man, to get y'all juice.
We was together for this one.
But it's not just the pick, man. It's how he finishes it off with the dive at the end, man. It just gets me juiced every time with that dive at the end. Like, you're going to score. Nobody's around you. But, hey, we got to dive in, do this in the style. And we see Dante Hittner, you know what I'm saying, on the left side of the screen, walking up there. And it's just crazy to see him after post-game shows now on NBC Bay Area. But that was a moment, man. Like, the game wasn't really going our way. And it was a game we expected to win. We were kind of on the fringe. We didn't really have the best energy. I feel like at that part of the season, we didn't really know if we were gonna come back and beat those boys. And we just made it happen with a great player making a great play, like Navarro Bowman does, man. Did you have anything that comes to mind when you see this play?
I think we was together.
I feel like we were, weren't we? We was at
we was at over here.
Yeah,
like
I
think I just had moved in here.
Right.
We was like watching it, but I mean, this was I think this was after the Seattle game, after the game we won, and it was kind of like it was it was like the last game at Candlestick.
The game we won with the Frank Gore run.
Yeah, that game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only been how many games? It hasn't been that many.
Actually, speaking of, that's actually like I remember 2 podcasts ago after the Seahawks game, I was talking about like why the Seahawks just own us. They absolutely own us. I don't know another team in the NFL that like has a rivalry where they just own us. And then we were watching Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, the Bears, he literally was talking about how he owns them. And I was just thinking in my head, I was like, yeah, that's another one where like, that's another one where Aaron Rodgers, I think it's like 16-4. I want to say he is in the last 20 against those guys, something like that, man. So that's another scenario where that team owns that team, so it's not just us. It's not just us, faithful.
Right. So we get compared to the Bears now, to the irrelevant Bears. The Bears haven't been relevant since what's his name?
Exactly.
I like this kind of party. But look though, I think so this was after the Seahawks game, and I feel like we like this was kind of the vibe. That game that we played, pick at the stick, was kind of like, I don't want to say it's the same type of scenario as this game, but this Falcons weren't, this was the year after they fell off that year.
Yep.
The year before we met them in the NFC Championship, they kind of fell off this year, and we were trending upwards. It was like, okay, we just beat the Seahawks, so we're looking to make a push, and it's the last game at Candlestick. They bringing out everybody, and we almost lost. And then And then there we had it though. And then Tremaine Brock, I think, broke it up. Bowman just had an incredible year that year.
Yeah, incredible year. And that's a great segue into the next moment that I have to bring up. And I didn't want to bring up like too many highlights, really just the last play. It's funny because looking at this play, and I'm going to just play it. Matt Ryan, it's crazy seeing Matt Ryan there in this era because it's like, man, he's still there. And I just feel like the Atlanta Falcons are one of those teams where I was talking earlier about the Arizona Cardinals and how they're not maybe getting the respect that they feel like they deserve. The Atlanta Falcons are a team where I just feel like nobody in sports media talks about them like at all. Like there's nothing interesting about their team. They're kind of in limbo in this like kind of middle sort of ground. Like, are they going to move on to their next era and rebuild? Are they going to kind of like
I mean,
push it through with Matt
they
Ryan?
are in the next era. Like
Yeah,
they
they are. They
have
got a new coach. Yeah, new coach.
nobody like they've
No Julio.
been in
Yeah,
their next era like two different times since
that's
then.
true. But I guess I'm just saying that because it's still Matt Ryan, and I just feel like, man, like nobody is interested in this team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like I feel like I haven't seen one show or anything talk about the Falcons this year. Like there's been no hype on them at all. So it's just been interesting to me. But let's play this play. He got a, he was in there. Like looking back on it on that play, and especially like, I mean, that was a little bit of Sherfield Seahawks, Greenlaw, Seahawks, all them vibes, right? Or Warner, I should say, Seahawks, all them vibes, right? So them goal line plays are around the goal line, end of the game. You gotta let them play. Refs gotta let them play, man. And again, number 53 again, making the play again. It's crazy now. I'm thinking about it, like just playing this playback. Like we as a franchise have a recent history of excellent linebackers. And it's like we've just been able to develop these tandems and these great groups and guys that have, once you get Willis, you're not expecting there to be a Bowman, you know what I mean? Like in the same era alongside of him. And like say what you want to say, but coming into the season, at least, like we were feeling great about Warner and still feeling good. Like he's still having a good season. It's not what we, expect at the level that he can play, at the pay grade that he's getting paid, all those sort of things. But to have Aziz come out and we already had Greenlaw, kind of establish himself, it's just you got to keep on that tradition. Like great linebackers in recent history. But this play right here, bringing us to the Super Bowl. I remember that day. I remember I was on the phone with you. I had to watch this game remotely because I had some crazy shit going on at work where I had to come into the office, some BS, and I was kind of watching it on my computer and all that. But I remember I was calling you after, and like this was like we're going to the Super Bowl. Like we going to the Super Bowl. It's big. You know what I'm saying? So definitely a big situation right there, man. The next one, the last one. This is the last one I have. And I see when you got something going on. It's all good. The last one I have. I know you remember this.
Yeah,
one,
I was about to say. Wait, what is this? Wait, no.
This maybe not what you had. This is what I have for my top 3. This is, you don't remember this game? This is where T.O., the first half, I think he had no catches, nothing. Second half came out balling, went to overtime. Jeff Garcia was doing his thing, I'm not going to lie. And then we finished it off with this play. Look at the celebrations, the vibes, the old jerseys. You know what's hella funny? The Falcons cheerleaders. Like y'all just gonna still stay like that? Let me rewind this real quick. Y'all just gonna stay there just looking like just no response. I'm dead.
Hey man, hey, that go crazy though. No, T.O., that do go crazy.
What were you talking about? What were you gonna say?
Bro. The 94 Atlanta game with versus Andre Rison, fist fight with Dion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm tripping. I'm tripping.
And
I'm tripping.
Then the pick 6 looking at him.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah, that's
like,
a good.
Bro, that was like epic. I was like,
yeah, you're right. Rising. Yep, that's a good one right there. That was epic.
He got in a fist fight. I mean, fist helmet fight.
Helmet, yeah, exactly.
There was tension the whole week, because they was teammates before, and Andre Rison felt like Dion left him, and Dion. I was hearing Dion talk about it. He said he felt like kind of like 2 kids who was in a foster home, and like he the one who got picked up. Dion is the one who got picked up by the good family, and so they kind of had that beef. Like damn, you done left me for the Niners
championship team. Yeah, the good guys,
the good family, and I'm still in this foster. I'm still in this foster home, and then so they ended up chunking them, and then like a few plays later, pick 6, Dion looking at him, the whole team, Jerry Rice even come down there, and they all jumping on him. So that was epic to me.
A lot of good memories, man. We cheers to making some more memories this upcoming week. We definitely want to, make it an important game. See who's going to step up and be a playmaker. We got a comment from JB. What you doing double duty? You in the comment section? Okay? You was there for the pick of the stick. I thought we was watching it at the crib. What you mean?
Yeah.
I was there for the pick of the stick, and let me tell you, man, Candlestick was rocking for 15 minutes after, and then popped off again because D Clark was there and Eddie. Memories, man. Hey, we weren't at the game, but just even watching it from the screen, like it was just special, man. You heard it, you felt the energy even through the screen. Like it was just a special moment. And the Atlanta Falcons, I don't know. I just feel like it's a low key, like it's definitely lower on the total form, but it's it's a low key rival, for sure. So
We used to play in the same division.
Exactly. So anytime you have that, like, it's low key rivalry. Respect that. And I feel like in recent memory, just with the game they had in 2019 where they beat us, where we should have really won that game. We were, vying for playoff positioning. In the same breath, right? Talking about this Atlanta Falcons game upcoming. My biggest thing is like it's a low key, very like tricky game for us because we just beat the Bengals. I said last week it kind of feels like we're playing with house money with how these NFC playoffs are, shaping up and whatnot. But I feel like when you really look at it, if Kyle Shanahan, if we finish off the year strong, I'm talking about if we're like a 9-win team, a 10-win team, even potentially, then it's like I really have to take a seat back with Shanahan and be like, I disagree with some things that you've done, but I'm not gonna say damn near coach of the year worthy, but like, you really like have been able to establish and reestablish, hey, like our team is for real. I'm for real. I have our guys ready to play, and we're playing right at the right time of the season, right? You really can do that if we go on a good run to end off this year. But if you turn around and we have a game, how we had against the Cardinals the second time we played them, where it's a team that, given the circumstances, we probably should beat them. Atlanta Falcons, yes, they have, I want to say 6 wins, but they have only beat really bad teams so far this year. If you look at most of their stats and where they rank, like they haven't been that impressive of a team. Matt Ryan, I think he leads the league in quarterback hits. They can be got. I just feel like when you look at who that team is supposed to be and where they're going and who we are supposed to be and where we're going, this is definitely a game. I think Vegas had us, I want to say 8 points was the opening spread. So we're supposed to win this game. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if we do lay an egg and drop a game like this, it'd be similar, to the vibes of 2019 when we lost to the Falcons. And, it just would be a really bad look, I feel like, especially after winning the game like we did against the Bengals. You can argue, like, because we won that game, we're in the driver's seat, we're in a good position. So, don't be too dramatic. But I also feel like, man, this is a game where, like, do not lose this game. This just puts us in the driver's seat, man.
No, that's real. And I don't know. It's just something about it. Like, you were talking about the Rams. Like, they wanted it more. It's just something about like, being at home or just playing against, a team that we're supposed to beat. I just feel like when we on the road, when our back is against the wall, that's not just with us, but with most probably, I just feel like that's kind of when you fight the hardest. That's when, when people talking crazy about you, when when the fans are, people are talking crazy about you, that's kind of when you want to, I don't know, it seems like that's when we play our best, and our home record is trash. It's been trash, especially under Shanahan. So, it is kind of like, damn, can we actually, have a game like this where we're supposed to win, and can we actually do it? Can we win, and can we make it? Does it have to be a crazy game if we do win? Can we just dominate these guys or win? Win emphatically. Can we do that?
Does it have to be a grinded out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can we just vibe out, roll something up, drink something, just vibe out, watch the game? Like, that'd be fun. That would be fun. It was fun last week, having the game winner and, the nail biter and Ayuk.
No, that was not fun. That was not fun.
It was fun.
It was
fun. That was fun. It was fun.
Okay,
well, it was fun. You need to make sure your heart rate is working every now and then. Like those games are cool, but I also would prefer having those vibe out games as well. I mean, could we have one of those? That'd be.
Bro, you remember what you texted me right when the game started when we went 3-0?
What did I say?
You said something like, we're gonna lose this game, so just get it out your mind or something like that. What'd you say? It's like it's hard. Like don't even like we're gonna lose,
have the mindset that we're gonna lose the game, so that no matter what you playing, like you gonna be good that way, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
kind of
why
like
you
Seahawks
lost money.
that's what I feel like. That's how I felt like. How's the Falcons defense? I didn't look too much at their defensive stats, but I just know overall. I was listening to what I did. Typically, what I do to prepare for these weeks, just as a fan, and even for these episodes, I like tap in with other content creators of that team. That's what I try to do. So I'll look at like Atlanta Falcons podcast, for example, one night, and I just get a few different people, see what they're talking about with the team, and my general consensus, like everybody that I listened to that had an Atlanta Falcons podcast, they were all pessimistic on the team, and this is, mind you, coming off of them just beating the who they beat, the Carolina Panthers last week, who's also a struggling team, but just beating that team, and nobody is confident that that team is A, going to make the playoffs, B, going to win this game. They're not really excited about one of the podcasts I was listening to. The title of the episode was "The Atlanta Falcons are the worst 6-7 team in NFL history." That was the title of the episode. I know fans be doing the most, but the point is,
exactly, bro.
That's crazy. I know, but the point is,
bro, the fans will each fan base. We all
do the most.
Like when things are going bad, it's like we're the worst. We're the worst team.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's us or whether it's Philly, whether Atlanta. They're the worst 6-7 team ever. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, so that's essentially the general synopsis I'm getting. One of the main things is they're allowing, like I said, Matt Ryan is one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league, if not the most. I want to say they were saying he's at the top of the league, like right there. So that's one thing. Another thing that they were pointing out is that they've only really beaten teams that, aren't good. That's really their record is all their wins are from teams that, aren't good, but you can say the same thing about our, the Detroit Lions. We're on our schedule. We have the Texans. We have the Jags. We had the Jags already. So we've had a lot of those games too. I think on the flip side with us though, we've had like the Bengals game was an impressive win. You know what I'm saying? Like on the road, a desperate team, team with weapons, kind of doesn't match up on the outside, based on our situation with guys being out of the game and whatnot. Like that was and it came down to the wire, and we won it on the wire in the road. Like that was an impressive win. If you look at the Rams game that we had on Monday Night Football, that was an impressive win. Like we have signature wins. You know what I'm saying? Say what you want to say about our signature losses, and you can just throw the Seahawks out the window, but we do have at the very least signature wins. The Minnesota Vikings win, like that's a decent win. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a team that needed that win at the time, and they're still in the thick of things, and it was a tiebreaker scenario. We knew we were going to come down to it, possibly with them at the end for vying for a playoff spot. So, we do have some impressive wins on the season. I will say that about our team. One thing that I wanted to talk about and transition to, and this is a little bit of a trivia question I'm going to put on you, and I actually don't have my phone on me because I wanted to actually bring up the stats in front of me, but I already memorized it, so I can still, come off the top of the head with you on this one. So in terms of the 49ers offense and our offensive ranks this year and how we're doing, how we're trending, we're not really elite, or I'll say good, in too many areas on the offensive side of the ball. When I say good, I mean like top 10 in the league, right? Off the top of my head, there were two statistical categories in which we were top 10 in the league in offense. There's one that we were 7th, and there's one that we were number 1. I'm not going to talk to you about the 7th one. I'll reveal that at the end. But the one that we're number 1 in, I want to see if you can guess what that category is. And I'll give you a big hint on what we are number 1 on offense and in the league. If you're following the season, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to you. And number 2, this is something that historically, like I would say in recent history, not only with this era, but also with the Harbaugh era, we've struggled with this mightily in the past. But now we're number 1 and nobody's really talking about it. What do you think that category is? Yep, there you go.
You gave it up with the Harbaugh.
Yeah, man. So we're number 1 in red zone, touchdown percentage, which I thought was interesting. And because it's interesting on a few levels, right? Because one, some of that, not a lot, I'm not going to, put on thick, like I'm going to just give hella credit, but some of that is because of Trey, right? He's resulted in a few of our red zone touchdowns this year, like more than one, right? So,
right.
The run against the Packers, the pass against the Lions. Did we have one in Seattle too? I want to say, yeah.
Oh, Seattle. Yeah,
Seattle, I mean,
he
he
did
had
some. He did some in Seattle for
yeah,
sure.
there was at least one, I think, red zones. I think we were, I don't know what our percentage was that game, the first game, but he had some red zone touchdown situation. So that's one side of it being interesting. And are we going to use the Trey Lance weapon? I think that ship is like sailed. I feel like some content creators keep bringing that up. Like, are we going to see a package? Like, wow, this is be the perfect situation. We haven't seen him in weeks. The team's not going to be ready for like that ship. To me, like, I'm not expecting to see Trey Lance this year unless Jimmy G gets hurt. Like, that's just me. I'm not at this point in the season. Like Jimmy G, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, he's already kind of won some fans and won, I think, the trust and the support of a lot of people over. And there's people like myself who are still feel pretty much the same about him because he could have thrown a pick, and there's plenty of situations where he couldn't throw a pick, but at the same time he makes plays too, and it's like it is what it is. But Shanahan's riding with him, and I'm not expecting anything different. But the other thing about the red zone that's interesting to me is that for so long we were just prolonging the Jalen Hurts situation. We were just hanging on to him. He never had a snap in the regular season. And I got to think one of the main reasons that, one of his main values was like his red zone capabilities, just in terms of him being a bigger guy. For the Harbaugh era and for really the beginning of the Shanahan era, one of the things that we were concerned about, even with a guy like Kittle, right? One of the best tight ends in the league, if not the best tight ends in the league. One of the things we we're concerned about is, do we have that player that we can go to in the red zone that we can just throw it up to and make a play for us, right? Do we have that guy on our team? And I feel like Jalen Hurd was supposed to be the mold of that type of player. And it didn't work out with him. And we're not, top 10 in offense in many categories, but for whatever reason, and maybe you can talk about, I don't know if you have any thoughts on why that is, or, just any thoughts on the stat at all, but we are number one in red zone touchdown percentage this year. So I just thought that was interesting. Following the season, I've known that that's been the case. We've been pretty good at it, but it's just something to, I don't know, just kind of interesting to me. I just kind of like a random stat, but maybe it's not random. Well, what's your thoughts on that, JB? Number one in the red zone percentage.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man, because being in the school of Shanahan, like a lot of times he talks about certain stats, and it's like what stats mean something and what stats don't mean nothing, and I don't really know what that means, and because I don't necessarily, but sometimes perception does become reality, and if we start building that confidence, like those that we're number one, then like maybe when we do get in the red zone from here on out, or not from here on out, but maybe once you start hearing that that breeds more confidence when you get in the red zone. But and to actually score and whatnot, especially once you're up at number one. But yeah, I don't really know if it's the way the season started, and just the offense stalling out the way it was, like I can't really call it in terms of that stat, and like how effective our offense was when we got in the red zone. I don't know, because all I know is at the beginning of the season, I felt like we was more frustrated with our offense.
Yeah, and I think with the offense, when you think about it, like of all the different offensive categories that there are and all the different statistics that you can be, ranked in, red zone touchdown percentage is a huge one, right? Because that kind of like, even if you're deficient in other areas, if you're being efficient with scoring touchdowns when you're in that situation where you're in the red zone, like that's huge for a team. That's the difference between 4 points and sometimes 7 points. It's going for a field goal versus going for a touchdown. And I feel like that is a stat to it kind of, I think it almost like, if I look at that stat on face value, it almost makes a fool's gold situation out of our team, where it's like, if you're efficient and doing well in the red zone at the rate that we are, it can kind of hide some other things with your offense. It can hide some other things with your team. Like maybe you're not, because again, we were only top 10 in one other category that I saw from doing my research before this episode, which was yards per play, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. That's what we were number 7 ranked in. But other than that, the only top 10 category was, our red zone efficiency. And so I think that's a huge thing that like if you're a mediocre team, like, for all intents and purposes, we have been a mediocre team. We're still in that, 6 to 8 win, area, and bunched up with all those other teams, right? One of the differentiators from, being a poor team to being a little bit better of a team is like, okay, when we actually have the opportunities, we're scoring. And, a big part of that too is like not turning the ball over. So, but yeah, Jimmy G's third down numbers are, or I should say our offense third down numbers aren't, that great. It's ranked in the mid 20s. It's nothing this season, even our yards per carry, running, nothing is really blowing you away in terms of being like a top 10 team other than that red zone stat. So I just thought that was interesting. Richard saying Debo is a big reason for the red zone efficiency. I mean, Debo, you can put him a reason for anything. I mean, think about the Philly game and the long, long catch and run that he had there. Think about the Chicago game and the big catch and run that he had there. Think about the Rams game and the big catch and run that he had there. Like, there's so many scenarios where he's just getting it and scoring from wherever. I mean, every game it almost seems like the Minnesota game.
You got to think about what game did he not do it in?
Exactly, that he was healthy in, right? Exactly. He does that, and I always this is like, it's funny. It's fun bringing some of the inside stuff that we text about and we talk about watching the games to the faithful, to everybody in the comment section and all that, because it's like when you think about Debo, all of these runs look the same. They're like to the outside, whether it's the left or the right. It's either like a pitch or some sort of, he's just going to the outside and he's just like untouched. It's I've never seen anything like it where it's like, I don't really understand it. Like, I don't get how it's just like he gets the ball.
It's a big play. It's like in their big plays. And I don't know, me personally, I don't look at Debo. I mean, I'm not, obviously he doing something, but I don't look at him like as like a speed burner, but he just, he's taking, these are 40, 50 yard plays, 40-yard plays.
Let me ask you a question. This goes back to the Monday Night Football game that was on last night. I'm not asking for you. I'm asking, and you can say in the comment section too, type in with us, faithful. Once again, this is the Tonite Show on, you already know what it is, man. Frontline Sports Media, 49365. My name is Biamechi. I'm with JB. Make sure y'all follow us at 49x365. Follow Frontline Sports, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. What I was going to say, JB, not from your perspective and not from y'all perspectives in the comments, but around the league and like for general fans and people watching the sport, do you feel like people would rather have Debo on their team or Cooper Kupp?
Debo. I feel like Debo is getting a lot of attention. Like, Debo's getting a lot of attention.
Cooper Kupp's getting a lot of attention.
He is. I mean, but it's like they serve different Cooper.
No, I know. It's a tough question. It's
like receiver.
But I will say though, Cooper Kupp leads the league in yak, if I'm not mistaken. I know Debo's missed some games and stuff, but Cooper Kupp, they are different players, but they do have a lot of. They both have yak, and they both in different ways. Like,
I just feel like Debo is getting the ball behind the line. He's literally lining up at running back, and just getting the ball a lot of times, like those tosses, like this, like he's like Cordero Patterson.
I think it would be pretty split, man. I think it would be pretty split. Like, I feel like a lot of people would want Cooper Kupp just because, with how NFL offenses look nowadays, and it's just more of a typical something you're more familiar with. Having that guy in the slot that can, do those option routes, and like it's almost like he's unstoppable out of that slot. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he gets so many catches every game. I don't know what his numbers are in terms of like receptions, but it's got to be number one in the league because that boy just, it's just a different level. And a good comment here from 49 Lakers. If Jimmy could throw downfield, Debo wouldn't have to be a running back. I mean, a lot of that's coaching too, but it's interesting because honestly, this past game, Debo, I think 7 or 8 carries, 1 catch. The previous game that he played in, it was a similar situation where it was like, 7 or 8 carries, and I think it was the Jaguars game, where there's only a few catches that he had, and it's just kind of interesting, like how that element is playing out because yes, he's scoring. Yes, he's still making the plays. So at the end of the day, like, what does it matter? Get the ball in your best playmaker's hands any way you can do it. But I would like to see him, like,
I just don't feel like that's his game.
You don't feel like that's Debo's game?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't remember the catch against Baltimore in 2019 where he just grabs up and get it, or the catch
in the Detroit game this year.
The Detroit game, yeah, exactly.
I just feel like those
given the opportunity, it's like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I just feel like that's not really, you see what, I don't know. I feel like his bread and butter is, over the middle. and then with the ball in his hands, get with a full steam ahead. I feel like that's his bread and butter. And like, all the fade routes and just deep ball, deep goals. Like I don't maybe, maybe we haven't seen it that much, but I don't see him. There's certain people who specialize in those type of things, like Tyler Lockett, or
You know,
obviously, yeah,
I actually, this is a good conversation because I think it segues into something that I wasn't really going to have on the agenda for tonight's show, but we kind of talking about wide receivers a lot, so might as well bring it up. We talked about Cooper Kupp and you bringing up guys like Tyler Lockett and things like that, and like the receivers that have those different elements to their game. And we look at like how Kyle Shanahan, the players that he initially got when he first took over for us, the Marquise Goodwins of the world. Now it's, we don't have that speedster per se that just their job other than Travis Benjamin, which I'm not even going to count that. He had an opportunity this past week, couldn't make that happen. But when you look at it, right, so what I want to ask is how would you evaluate so far the 49ers receiving core as a whole? Like, how do you look at the 49ers receiving core stacked up against the rest of the league, stacked up against your expectations of these players? We can go player by player. You can go as a group as a whole, but I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on overall, like the receiving core? And you two in the comment section, Faithful, I want to get your opinion on this too, because I just feel like thinking about it, one of the things that stood out to me from last game was we were talking a lot about Juwan Jennings, right? He had a huge catch. I think that was in overtime, if I'm mistaken, on the last drive on second down. Back shoulder, had to make the play. Like the ball stuck to his hands. Like it was like one of those like I got mitts plays, and like it was a subtle move, but like right after he caught it and spun around, he like eluded the safety.
he tried to get up. He tried
to get up. Exactly. He eluded, like instantly eluded that safety. And you saw you've seen plays like from if his college tape, if you remember at Tennessee, like all these plays where he was a huge yak guy. Even though he's slower and all those sort of things, he's gonna try to, make guys miss or knock them over, right? That's his game. And I just feel like really his game is blocking. That's really like ultimately what the main facet of his game is. And I look at like Shanahan wanting to get Jalen Hurd and all the opportunities gave him. And if we had a guy like Jalen Hurd, I talked about the red zone and, a guy who can go up there and get it, and kind of like we're talking about with Juwan Jennings. And then you talk about like the speedster element, right? Like, do we need to have like, are we missing a designated guy whose job is just to go down the field and stretch it out and make things, and open up some things for the intermediate areas on the field, but also be a threat to sometimes throw it deep. Maybe not with Jimmy G, but once we get a guy like Trey Lance playing in there who's, going to take over next and has that arm strength and has that arm talent allegedly, so if that's the route that we're going, do we need that speedster type guy? Like, are we content with the group that we have? Is Ayuk showing us enough? Like, has he come enough out of the doghouse in your eyes for you to look at him like, you know what? I feel comfortable with the way Ayuk is developing at this point in the season. I feel comfortable with his trajectory and like not only like closing out this season, but going into next season. Like, what do you feel about the 49ers receiving core right now?
Man, I think we're definitely good enough. Like good enough to win a Super Bowl with that receivers. Like in terms of a speedster, you don't need that. Like you don't need like just that would be great to have if you had just just a super fast stretch the field quote unquote guy, a D-Jack, a Marquise Goodwin quote unquote. But I mean, you don't need that. Like it's not like Debo's slow. Ayuk isn't slow. Jennings seems to be more slower. But we got those Ayuk and Debo is obviously a superstar. He's a superstar. Ayuk is coming along, made a game-winning play in overtime. So Ayuk is definitely wide receiver 2 right now. And then Jennings looked like he's doing his thing to be wide receiver 3. And then Kittle he's not a wide receiver, but in terms of catching the ball, like he's a true threat out there.
Yep.
So I think that we got more than what it takes in terms of like, I don't think it's like, damn, we need another wide receiver. Like we can't get the job done with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we definitely have enough. Like, yeah, it's good enough. Like, that's yeah, you definitely could say that. I was listening to Croc's show in the morning. I think it was yesterday, and he was talking a lot about at one of the points in the show, he was talking about Brandon Ayuk and his opinion of him and what he thought he was going to be when we drafted him versus what he's shown so far to date, specifically this year, especially compared with his contemporaries, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. You could say it's unfair to compare him, but like those are his contemporaries. Those are the guys that were in his draft class, right? And so I really align with Croc on this in terms of when you look at Brandon Ayuk, I didn't have, big grades for him coming out of college. I didn't really tap into his film too much. I don't know. I just didn't really like, he was one of them players that like after we drafted him, you go back, you look at the film, you're like, yeah, I can I see the potential. I see maybe a little bit of
Shanahan wants him. Like, okay,
exactly. I was really like, okay, like I see that, right? And because I was big on Jerry Jeudy, I was big on the Alabama receivers, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy. I wasn't huge on CeeDee Lamb, but I was huge on Justin Jefferson. I definitely liked him. But it was a stacked wide receiver class, right? Stacked, similar to how they talked about the quarterback class from last year. And Ayuk, from the punt returns, the kick returns, the elusiveness, even what we saw so far, like from his rookie season of jumping over guys in Philly and making plays here and there in the absence of Debo and all the injuries that we had throughout last year. Like Ayuk made some plays, he was elusive. I feel like Ayuk, this is the point that Croc was making. Ayuk is becoming like a possession receiver for us, which is dope. He's making plays. He's doing what he's asked to do. He's, third and 5. Okay, he's a quick little comeback. Okay, bam, got it. A little out route, bam, got it. But we haven't seen like whether it's through reverses or whether it's through just screens or plays that get him in the open field, him being elusive and making guys miss and being like super dynamic. You look at Justin Jefferson highlights, you look at CeeDee Lamb highlights, you just feel like every week it's like some play that they're making, right? And I know we have a little bit different of offense and all those sort of things, but the point remains like I don't really know how I feel about Ayuk's progress overall. I like what that he's been improving and getting out the doghouse and all those sort of things. But right now, when I look at Ayuk, it's like, are you a first round receiver? Are you the contemporary of Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb? Are you? Is this who you are? Like, who are you right now?
I feel you. But I don't know. I just feel like Justin Jefferson is like people looking at him as like one of the best receivers in the league. Like, period.
Shanahan said over Debo, which is crazy. We can talk about. Yeah, Shanahan said he was the best receiver in the league.
Who? Jefferson?
Yeah.
Right. And what's his name? Devontae Adams showing him how to love like that. So it's like, all right, like, yeah, Ayuk, you're not nobody's even considering you on that level. But I mean, and CeeDee Lamb is obviously he's an amazing talent as well. I think he got picked up before us though, so we didn't even. I think Shanahan might have picked him up because he said he liked CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, he might have picked. He said he liked CeeDee Lamb a lot, and yes, he did get picked before us. But we had the option of getting him instead of getting a guy that's not even playing for us right now. Right, it was a consideration and an option for us, So it is. So I do put them in the same.
Right, but I guess, but I don't know. I'm just looking at Ayuk and where he's at right now, and what he came through in. I mean, you're only as good as your last, and his last, I mean, that was a very impressive. That was impressive to me. That was impressive that he won the game. And I don't know, that's to me is like, that's what you draft players to make plays in them type of moments. And he did that in a big game, in a big atmosphere to win the game where those type of games, until we won the game, I didn't know what was going to happen. We could have been at the 1 yard line. I could be like, somebody going to fumble,
it's interesting with Ayuk is that, wide receiver is a position of the diva. You know what I'm saying? I showed the play earlier, Atlanta, Terrell Owens, scored a touchdown. And it's funny because I didn't even show the plays earlier from the second half of that game where, he was destroying the Falcons. And every single time he was doing like a little Steph Curry shimmy. Shout out to Steph breaking the record for the most NBA threes tonight. Shout out to Steph. Shout out to the Bay. Shout out to the Warriors. Shout out to Oakland. Shout out to all the fans of all the NBA teams. I know it's not just, Oakland Bay Area centric fans out here. We see y'all. But the wide receiver is a position of it's the diva position, right? And I feel like one thing I can say about Brandon Ayuk, compared specifically even to Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Ayuk fits the archetype, I feel like, in a lot of ways of like this regime's type of player. Like, I can't think, we don't really have, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really have like divas on our team per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have like Odell Beckham, like a guy who would be considered like a a superstar
Yeah.
sort of diva player.
I
Our stars are
yeah,
like
there's only kind of like
a
yeah, I
few of
feel
those
you.
guys. But I mean, even Justin
Like
Jefferson is
Antonio
one.
Brown, Odell
Yeah.
Beckham, like yeah, those guys are kind of like you know even D Jack a little bit like.
I mean, even looking at the NFC West, like all those other teams have
Oh yeah,
diva type players.
Metcalf,
It's crazy.
like
Something, I don't want to say it's great, but yeah, he's something
that
else.
don't look good on Metcalf because Metcalf ain't doing nothing right now.
Nothing, nothing.
Nothing. He
But
was
yeah, I
looking
just
like Megatron last year.
exactly. But I think that is one thing with Ayuk is like I feel like when I say 49ers archetype, there's number one. I think the physicality, the blocking, all those sort of things. Thinking of like a George Kittle, a Juwan Jennings, even Debo, like just the physicality he brings, like he's gonna knock you over. I even feel like Trey Lance fits that description when it comes to like guys who are just over the course of the game, back to that Marshawn Lynch, we keep hitting you over and 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 over. You're gonna give, like we have those guys where it's like throughout the course of a game, you're just gonna get worn down by our physicality, by our yards after the catch, by our knocking you over and not going out of bounds. It's gonna maybe lead to some injury prone players like George Kittle, like Debo Samuel, but that is the 49ers archetype. I feel like that's one of the aspects of it. The other aspect of it, I feel like, is like the humble, hardworking, just that's the best way I can describe it. Humble and hardworking. The Fred Warner, archetype. The Aziz. And you could
I
put
feel
Trey
you.
Lance in that too.
Hey, these dudes not humble though. They just don't make it look like that.
What you mean by that? What you mean by that?
I don't know. I was just trying to messing around, but I feel like
Talking
Fred
shit.
Warner, his ego is probably humongous. Like he don't carry it in a way where it look like that, but it is
Well,
that.
I guess.
He's like in his mind, he that guy.
Well, I'll say this. What I mean by that comment, I know you're kind of saying this in jest, but what I mean though is that regardless if they feel a certain way about themselves and have this ego, all those aspects, what they project is that of this type of archetype. That's at
Right.
least what I can say. There may be guys.
Team guy, yeah.
Exactly.
Guy.
That's what I feel like our team is we have a culture. And that's one thing I will say about Shanahan and this team. Well, it's the NFL, so there's going to be turnover regardless. Like you can't keep. There's only so much you can do with keeping a team together. Like it's going to change year to year, so you have to like do your best to set a culture, but the players set the culture too, and it's tough to have a consistent year over year vibe when you have so much transition and so much changing of players and whatnot. But I do feel like I see what he's going for. Not that I agree, not that it's perfect, not that it's right, but in regards to CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, we can talk about the yak on the on field, all sort of things. But I do feel like Ayuk fits Shanahan's archetype. But at the same time, the only thing with Ayuk that's a little bit off is I feel like he has really terrible body language, and he's like a very I don't know. I just feel like he has bad body language. Like it doesn't really, and obviously he was in the doghouse for a period of time, and I would assume that's because the coaches, mainly Shanahan and maybe Wes Welker, don't think that he's working hard enough to be that dog. Like to be that, whether it's in the block game, all sorts of things. That's the vibe I get from what they've said and from how he's played this year. Like they're expecting more, going 110% every single time. Like period. Like that's the energy that they're expecting from him, and that's not, I guess, what he's giving them. You mentioned all the time. I remember in the offseason, you used to always mention like, why is Ayuk always last in the wide receiver drills? Like, why is he always behind? And like, is that some of the things that they talking about? Like, and that could be something that is completely irrelevant, minute detail and things, but it's something that you pointed out, and I think it's relevant to this conversation.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if he's last in the receiver lines, I don't think it means anything because he's producing on the field. And I don't know how I look at it right now. Like I think he has a lot of room to grow, and but I look at it like the beginning part of the season. Like we're not in that territory with him anymore. Not saying he's gonna be perfect, like or anything like that. But I just feel like all right, he's producing right now. Like he's producing. He made some plays. He's definitely hasn't arrived, and is he going to be able to be consistent? We'll see. But yeah, I think at the beginning of the year, the way Sherfield was playing in preseason and in training camp, I didn't really see that type of energy from Ayuk. And I don't think, and then he got hurt, and then so that's what I think it was, and the body language and all that type of stuff. I just feel like that's people just different, man. People different with the way they with their body language and the way they are when bad things happen.
They're
Like
humans.
like some people react differently, and that's just like when like if something bad happened to the one person, he could hop back up and sprint up, but still be thinking about it in his head, and still be messed up, but he just
Has
fakes
better
it.
body language, right?
Better body language, but it just still don't mean he ain't thinking about it, or so it's kind of like you know um how are we going to progress with Ayuk? And I think that last week was a very big step, and he's been stacking. It hasn't been like it hasn't been like the beginning of the year, so I feel like he's progressed. So that's to me how I feel about Ayuk. I'm like he's a weapon. They got to pay attention to him. They can't just it's not like he just out there just getting clamped and just a weak player and like all right, now he's you got to pay attention to him.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you on that. As we get close to wrapping up, man, and talking about really just the upcoming game against Atlanta, I wanted to ask you, not really breaking down Atlanta, and because I'm not even prepared to really fully go into that team. I really wanted to focus more on us and up for this matchup, and thinking about, in terms of, is there one player that you feel like if they had a good game, it would kind of propel us for the rest of the season? Like, basically what I'm asking is, is there one player that you're looking at that you're hoping, that you're expecting, that you're wanting to have an impact in the game to not only just, win this game, but it would bode well for the rest of the season? Like, is there anybody that comes to mind for you that kind of fits that criteria? Because one thing, I don't want to make it all about wide receivers and all that, but I do feel like I'm still looking at Brandon Ayuk, especially off of last week's game. I feel like that almost was a huge propeller for him, but like I would like to see one game. I think somebody even said it in the comments, like let's see. Yeah, 150-yard game. That's a lot, especially for us and our offense and how we operate and whatnot. But what if we just had a game, like I said, this is how you were saying earlier, like if we just blow them out, or if we just, have a good game, like could we have a fun game like that? What if we had a game where Ayuk just had, hypothetically, I'm just going to throw out the stats. Let's say he had 7 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. Like if we just had one game like that, it would have.
I mean, Richie James had a game like that.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the Packers game. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a game like that. Yeah, no, I hear you. But I think
I'm saying I feel you though. But yeah,
I just think like George Kittle, the past 2 weeks has been the best. However so long since he's come back from his injury in week 9, has been the best tight end in the league. I think. I haven't watched all those other tight ends, but I'm pretty sure nobody's doing what George Kittle is doing. We're seeing, record-breaking stuff from George Kittle the past 2 weeks, and even beyond that. When he's gotten those opportunities, he's been good since he's come back. Right, he's doing his thing. Debo, we've talked about it. Debo's established. Yes, we want to see this Debo train to keep going and keep chugging along. Like, let's keep the momentum going. But I feel like it's a given. Like, Debo's gonna, if he's playing, his presence is gonna be felt one way or the other. Right, we're gonna find ways to get him the ball, all those sort of things. Right, Jimmy, you said at the beginning of this show, like we feel like he's kind of the performance he put on. Yes, there was mistakes, but the performance he put on is putting him in favor where, like, there's some confidence and support behind the fan base, at least with being behind this guy, right? And I feel like if you had the dynamic element of Ayuk as a threat, I'm not talking about, button hooks, comebacks, all these short 10 yards, 11-yard plays. I'm talking about a 20-yard play here, a 22-yard play here, not just from air yards, but also from making guys miss and being dynamic and being a problem. Like, we're dealing with Kittle getting a hit left and right, being knocked over. We're dealing with Debo on them plays to the outside runs where we cannot stop him. He's going into the end zone. And now you have this element of Ayuk, and adding on Elijah Mitchell, who's come back and he's been pretty consistent in what he's been able to bring. I just feel like Ayuk is the icing on the cake. Ayuk is the piece that makes this thing dynamic, where like we can go from being a below average offense to being a good offense, above average offense. Ayuk is that key for that. And obviously that's also related to Jimmy G and his ability to get him the ball. But I feel like, not to keep harping on Ayuk and everything like that. And I did get his jersey this year, so maybe that's why I'm extra hard on Ayuk and extra looking forward to his emergence. But I feel like Ayuk would add an element to our team that would really bode well for us, not only in this game against the Falcons, but moving forward to close out the rest of the season. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have a player in your eyes that you feel like you're hoping to have a big game that can maybe propel us for the remainder of the season?
Man, I mean, I feel you. I feel you on Ayuk. You would definitely want him to, continue to be a threat and to be a threat to, like you said, to it's just only gonna make things easier or harder on the defense. Is easier for us if you got all these weapons out there. But I mean, I'm gonna just go to Jimmy. I'm gonna just go to number 10, Jimmy G. He's. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying it. I just feel like this year, a lot of quarterbacks I feel like would have crumbled under this type of pressure. The fan base on you, adversity. It's real. It's real adversity. It's real pressure. It's real. No matter how much money he makes or whatever, he's like, they drafted this dude number 3 pick. They went up. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody wants Trey Lance to play. People really are like, the fan base really don't want you to play. And to see that, like, okay, he's still
here. What's that? Antoine Fisher.
I thought you was talking about Mike McGlinchey.
Nah, Antoine Fisher. I'm still standing. I'm still here.
There you go.
I'm still here.
Mike McGlinchey last year was posting that too after games, and then he would have a bad game after that, like post some on Instagram, like still here in the next game. But anyways, it just is. I'm just really interested to see how this plays out, and it was, I don't know why I want to bring up this point, but like listening to the press conference, and Jimmy G was talking about getting in the rhythm of the last game, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially he said like, he's like, well, I'm just basically like he freestyling out there. I don't want to say all the way freestyling. I'm not saying that, but like, kind of like he starts recognizing things, and he was like, yeah, sometimes the coverages that we thought we're gonna get, we don't get, and so he's kind of like out there a field type of thing. And I'm like, damn, like that just is crazy to me, because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, like this is Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. They're preparing you for every single coverage and okay, where to go.
They might be, but he might not. I mean, another way to interpret that is like they might be doing those sort of things, but he's not seeing that. And that's,
I mean, he might, but all right, I feel you, but I don't feel like he would have said that some of the things they're anticipating.
I'm not saying just to be clear though, I'm not, and I'll let you finish. My bad, but I'm not trying to say that like I'm not saying it as a knock against Jimmy. I can even say that as a knock against Shanahan, somebody who hasn't played quarterback, and does, like, it's like you're so like, oh, this is here, this is there, this is there, but like a part of the game is the game, freestyling, making plays, doing that. Like, and it seems like when you're in that 2-minute situation, or when you're in like the end of the game, like there's a lot of that. Like just no huddle, we're gonna keep going, running plays. Like, I'm going to give you the keys to it right now, and you're going to have to do what you have to do, like make some plays. And I feel like that's more of maybe Jimmy's speed and some other players' speed too. But Shanahan seems to have a very, I don't know, I feel like Shanahan kind of, he, I don't want to say restricts Jimmy, because Jimmy makes mistakes and he does, all these things. But I feel like, I don't know if Shanahan and Jimmy is a perfect marriage, but they keep winning. So maybe it is.
Right. So, that's who I'm honestly just, I know Jimmy's gonna do what Jimmy does, and Jimmy's not gonna be perfect. And another point, like I was just thinking about this too, is like, I remember this in this offseason, I watched the catch game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I'm not
3 interceptions, I think, for Joe Montana.
Man, it's like he threw 3 picks that game, like 3.
Yeah, and in revisionist history, I love like the OGs. No disrespect to the OGs and the players that established this franchise and made this franchise what it was, but it's like the OGs, man. It's like everything is it's just all great and roses, and just like there's no, people never talk about the struggles and the interceptions and the failures. I remember I was listening with this whole Steph Curry 3-point record thing. Like there's an interview he had with Michael Jordan on the golf course. They're just sitting down one-on-one. I don't know if you saw that.
I heard that. I seen that.
Little clips of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw clips of it. And Michael Jordan was just talking about like the losses is what makes the wins special. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to go through the flames and the fire to really appreciate and enjoy the wins. Like, you got to go through that, like those L's, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like people don't talk about that enough, about even with Tom Brady and stuff. It's just all like, oh, he's the greatest ever. And they don't talk about how it was a defensive team and, you know, the breaks that went their way and all those sort of things. And, you know, it's
this
part
how
of
I
it.
feel. This how I feel. Like I said, like at the end of the day, what it all comes down to though is, are you gonna win? Are you gonna win championships? If
Are
you
you going
win
to win?
championships, then all that, we're not talking about interceptions. We're not talking about
Yeah.
always throwing over the middle or not being
Winners
able to
going to
throw
find a way,
deeper.
and Jimmy wins.
Yeah, but he ain't won though.
Yeah.
He wins, but he didn't win. And
Yeah.
so, you know, until he wins, I just feel like, you know, that's gonna be the knock. But you know, hey, he gonna come out there. All I know is his mentality. I can't knock his mentality. I can't knock his mentality, the way he handles bad things, good things. You know, it seems like he has a good mentality. So you know, I'm just interested to see how Jimmy plays the final stretch of this season.
Yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see the final stretch of the season. What do we have in store? How are we going to finish off? I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We got to talk about this Atlanta game. We got to make this happen in this Atlanta game, get this win. It's a huge game for us. Like I said, it could be a sneaky situation. You know, all the momentum's on our side. We're feeling good about ourselves. Big win against Cincinnati. Atlanta's not that great of a team for all intents and purposes, but they're still one of the teams that they got players on the other side that get paid too. And they do have hopes and aspirations. They're still in the hunt to make the playoffs. So they're going to be playing for it. They're going to be going for it. And we already know about the history with Atlanta Falcons and Kyle Shanahan. Not as much because it's a different head coach, you know, all those sort of things, but still, it's his former team. You know, Matt Ryan, there may be some extra motivation there still. So we have to see if we can come out and do what we're supposed to do. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals, the second time we've played them, where, oh, yeah, we just dropped a dud and had a bad game. This isn't the Colts where it's, oh, yeah, it's prime time and we're home and we're going to just the weather, though. No, there's no excuses. You win this game. Like you were just saying, JB, it's all about winning. And I know you're talking about the ultimate winning, but still, on all levels, winners win. This is a game where there's a no excuse game where you got to win. And I talk a lot about expectations with this team. And how many games this year have we really won that we didn't expect to win? How many games have we lost that we didn't expect to lose? It's only like, you know, a few games in there, maybe 2 games. You can maybe talk about the Rams game. You can talk about the Cardinals game the second time around, right? The Seahawks game, like that's another example, but you need to adjust your expectations because we just cannot beat that team. But the point is, expectations determine so much. And this is one of those games where I fully expect to win this game. And if we lose, I don't even want to put that energy out there, but this is the game where you definitely want to take care of business. That's the word, man. Take care of business. That's what we need to do. Just take care of business. That's all we need to do. And can we do it in a fashion where we have a good time? Ayuk gets off, Debo gets off, Elijah Mitchell, Jimmy G, everybody. I just want to see some players ball for us. Finally get this, you know, the home record back on track to where it needs to be, as we get this momentum going into this playoff push. JB, I don't know if you had any other thoughts. I think we're going to close out the episode like that.
I'm all good, man. Yeah, I'm like you said, I'm ready to. We need a win, but you know I'm gonna buckle up, man, because any given Sunday, I don't know how they gonna play with my emotions, but we'll see.
We'll see. Appreciate y'all in the comment section. Make sure y'all sign out with an emoji. You know, sign out with a rating of 1 to 10, what you think the show was, so we can know how to improve things and how y'all really feeling about the energy that we bring in. We're trying to bring that positive energy and good vibes and late night vibes. You already know what it is. This is the Late Night Show. You already know what it is. So we got to tap in. Make sure that we do this every Tuesday, 9 p.m. That's going to be our slot. Frontline Sports Media. We're also going to be doing the post-game show, so make sure you tap in for that. My name is Bia Mechi. It's positive energy and good vibes. And as always, I'm with JB.
We out, hey, faithful. Stand up, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be on the Tonight Show.
This is the 49 Reasons Why podcast.
And faithful.